We have an important update on the Dropbox thing. Along with me is my business partner, Emily Newman and Stephen Brown. Emily, what do we have on this Dropbox? Previously, they cut down that we can go for the Dropbox within 4 years after the visa expires. And in February of 2025, they said it's not going to be 4 years, it's going to be 1 year. What do we have an update right now?
Yeah, now taking effect September 2nd, 2025, practically all interview waiver Dropbox is gone for everyone. Not only are they taking away Dropbox for work visa holders, HLO, your typical work visas, but they are also going to start requiring interviews for kids who are under 14 or senior citizens who are over 79, which up until this point, they've never had to attend an in-person interview before. So this will start on September 2nd, 2025. We did at least get advanced warning this time. With a previous restriction that Raul mentioned that happened in February, we did not get any kind of announcement. We just started hearing people saying their Dropbox appointments were canceled while they were in line waiting for the Dropbox. This time we do have advanced warning, although it is definitely not good news. It's going to make it very difficult for people who don't have a valid visa to travel going forward.
Stephen, so what about the appointments that are there from now on to September 2nd, Stephen? What about the people who may have scheduled appointments after September 2nd?
Yeah, so what we would expect for anybody after September 2nd and this new policy takes effect is that they're going to get a cancellation notice for their appointment and instructions on how to reschedule their visa appointment. So that, if I would be expecting it. So if you're, thinking about contacting an immigration attorney, be like, oh, I'm September 3rd, will I be okay? No, I mean, they're going to cancel that Dropbox appointment and reschedule. That's what they did with the last policy in February, except as Emily noted, we didn't get, warning. I mean, there were people standing in line and then they said, your appointment was canceled. You don't meet the new rule. And so here, at least they're giving it to us in advance and we know, so people can plan accordingly. So I guess contact, if you're after, I would be contacting the consulate to try to get in as soon as possible. Yeah.
So, Emily, explain to me, Emily, that so right now, for everybody who's H-1B extension, even with the same employer, have to go through the interview, no Dropbox appointment. Is that right?
Correct. Every single person, regardless of how recent your visa expired, regardless of whether it was in the same category or not, regardless of whether you're the same company or not, if you need a new visa and you are outside the US, you will have to go through an in-person interview, even for kids under 14 for H4 dependent visas.
Seems to be some minor exceptions for B1, B2 in some G1 or A1 visas, which most of our clients don't use it. But except that, I mean, H1s, H4s, L1s, L2s, E1s, E2s, J1s, F1s, they all have to go through the stamping again if they are going to. They have to go through the interview process. And this is going to increase the load of the consulate. The consulates are already busy. And Emily, you and Stephen, you told that the State Department was working on that they are going to do the stamping within the United States. What happened to that?
I mean, we haven't gotten any updates on it, but I don't think this looks promising.
Yeah, I would say with this change, we're pretty much that's gone, because the whole purpose of this is with the extreme vetting, they feel like every single person needs an in-person interview. And when they were doing the stateside visa renewals, the domestic visa renewals, there was no interview. You just mail in your documents, you get your passport back with the visa. So I would say that is gone. I don't expect that to happen anytime in the next 3.5 years.
So
Well, and
that's
if
Don't
what
have anything official on that, but that's just my
it,
guess.
and if we can, let's just talk about the silliness of this policy announcement. This is having people go in for these interviews. These interviews are very much pro forma interviews. They take 2-3 minutes. This isn't, especially when we're talking work visas, a ton of heavy lifting. It's an obnoxious slowdown of the process. A lot of work is done at the front end through the background checks, through the searches in the different criminal databases, whether you do Dropbox or an in person. This just gets rid of you having to go in. Now you have to go into the consulate, get your fingerprints and all that done, which you already had to do. Wait your turn to get called and get the interview, which again, most of the time takes less than 5 minutes, but those slots are filled up because this gets rid of the efficiencies that were in place.
So,
Yeah, and these are all people that have been issued a visa before. So when the people that could do Dropbox before, it was because they've already been vetted, they've been interviewed before. We don't have enough slots available, so let's streamline things, make it more efficient, and not interview everybody. Now they've completely done away with that, and every single person has to be interviewed, even 3-year-old toddlers, I guess.
What are they going to answer, Stephen? The 3-year-old toddlers, what question they'll ask?
Yeah, ask your kids.
I've got a couple
kids.
I'll ask them. We can start asking them, about their travel. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, with the idea of, I've got a 2-month-old downstairs that she would have to go for an in-person visa interview and technically under this new policy be interviewed about why she's coming to the United States, what her intentions are and all that. I mean, let's imagine we were coming on a B visa. She would have to explain her adequate ties to her home country and her intent to depart. I mean, she just makes noises. She's 2 months old. My 5-year-olds probably couldn't answer that question. So, I'm hopeful on the child side, they officers exercise some discretion and realize, okay, we just want to make sure this is who is applying, and we don't actually have questions for the kid. But overall, this is, just a giant step back in efficiency for the Department of State, because getting Dropbox didn't guarantee a visa. It could still be denied. And we have seen visa denials for people who have done Dropbox. So this wasn't like a free pass. It just was get rid of this pro forma interview because you've already been vetted. They're still going to vet you to make sure that you aren't a criminal now. So it's a little absurd.
Emily, right now, the major concern that most of the people have is, Dropbox cancellation may not be that big of a deal, especially Abhishek Canada from X is asking this question, but I have that question too. Now, the regular appointments are backlogged. For B1, B2s, they're backlogged by all the way to 2 years, and regular H1Bs and the visa appointments are not available for next 6 months. And H4s, and sometimes people have some emergencies, they want to travel, and they may get blocked outside the country because there's no visa appointments. Now, of course, there was a proposal to charge $1,000 or so to expedite the visa appointments. I don't see that, at least right now, available. Do you see that since they have removed the Dropbox, that means that everybody has to go to the interview, they will try to do a little bit better in the appointment. They may cut down the regular appointments, in-person interview appointments from 6 months, 8 months backlog to probably 1 month or 2 month, Emily? What do you say? Especially from the rush country, especially from India. I mean, it's lots backlogged in India compared to any other location.
Yeah, I definitely would not hold my breath waiting for that to happen. I think the whole purpose of this is to make it harder, build that invisible wall. That was the statement we used a lot during the first Trump administration when he was building an actual wall from a legal immigration standpoint. They were also building an invisible wall. What barriers can we put into place to make it harder for people to get here? That's the goal, which means that they're not planning any major updates and upgrades in availability of appointments. I think we're just going to see more delays at the consulate, more 221Gs, more ways to keep people outside the US. I don't have any hope that they're going to miraculously create new visa slots when they don't have new officers to handle all these visa slots, when DOJ is eliminating consular staff, not expanding it.
And now we have this extra vetting process for the social media, and that's going to only delay the things. So definitely, if somebody does not have an appointment and they are traveling with emergency, I would rather want them to dispose of, probably keep some, where they give authorization to sell their home, cars when they're outside the country, because if they're gone for 6 months, their job won't last that long for them to come back into the United States. Any
No,
feedback on Stephen?
this is the unfortunate part, and it's the conversation we all hate to have, right? With clients, is that when we talk about consulates, there's so much risk when you go to the consulate because they get to hide behind consular non-reviewability, and can frankly do whatever they think is appropriate, without much justification. And so that's why we see arbitrary denials. That's why we see arbitrary delays. And so it's a hard conversation to tell people that I understand you want to travel and I understand the need, but it's our job as attorneys to counsel on the risk. And look, there are plenty of people who travel without problems. Like, I'm not sitting there saying nobody's getting visa stamping and getting in, but it's, I hate having that conversation when someone calls. It's like, I'm the guy that they denied a visa to. I don't have any reason for a denial. And now they're stuck outside the US for 6 months and their kids need to start school here and all that. So again, I know I hate us being the bearer of bad news all the time. And a lot of times everything's fine, but it's our job to let you know about the risks.
Route is asking the question from YouTube: what happens if I've already paid the fees but have not made an appointment? And if there is no appointments available, if you don't have an appointment until September 2nd, they will not grant you an appointment for visa waiver. The same fees can be used for the regular appointment. So the visa waiver, you will not be able to, but for regular, you can use that fees.
Yeah, and there was a question about advanced parole. I mean, I think, all of us, especially after the change in administration, have recommended if you have advanced parole and it works out, use it, because it's a lot easier. Yes, maybe you're going to have to go through what they call secondary because the officer doesn't know, and then you'll be admitted. I mean, that happens a lot because officers are confused what advanced parole is, but I've not heard of anybody being turned away under advanced parole, and you don't have to go through visa stamping. So if you have that in your war chest, use it.
Emily, if they use advanced parole, if they have let's say, for example, I have an H-1B extension until May of 2028, and I don't have a stamping, and I have an advanced parole because I filed a 485 application. If I travel outside the country and come back in, can I change the employer using the H-1B? That means when I move to company B, can I have the H-1B? Can I amend the H-1B? Can I extend the H-1B, even though I use advanced parole?
Yes, even though you entered on advanced parole, if you have a valid H-1B and you're going back to work for that same company under the same terms and conditions, your LCA is valid, you can consider yourself to still be in H-1B status, even though your online I-94 says DA or whatever it says for advanced parole. That means that, yes, you can file a transfer to continue your H-1B with another employer. You can file an extension, you can file an amendment, all the things that you would normally do if you had entered with an H-1B visa stamp, you can do if you enter on advanced parole, even though your I-94 does not reflect H-1B online.
Emily, what about these Canadians? Some of the people are exempt from the visa stamping. For example, for L1 and H1B, they don't have to go for stamping. They can just get the approval from USCIS and enter from the port of entry. They still need to go for the interview there in Canada?
Thankfully, no. Since they're still visa exempt, that is not changing. They already kind of are interviewed at the port of entry in order to be granted admission in whatever category they are applying under. But Canadian citizens who are visa exempt still don't need the visa, so still don't need a visa interview at a consulate in order to come to the US.
Yeah, same thing. Terminology matters, and I just talked to somebody about this. This doesn't impact the visa waiver program or ESTA. This is the visa interviews for non-immigrant visas.
Amog is asking this question. Do you expect more denials or 221Gs of the H-1B renewals now that the interviews are required? I would absolutely say yes to that question. Now, we have seen a tendency for those people who are visa Dropbox eligible as compared to non-Dropbox eligible, even though Stephen has said that, yeah, you can still be denied, you could still be called for the interview, but however, the chances were lower for the Dropbox as compared to the personal interviews, though. Emily, one interesting question that pops up, since the consulates are going to be more busy, will this cause where they're not going to use up the family immigration, and some of the green cards could come to the employment based because the consulates are the ones that issued the preferential family based immigration. They'll be busy with the non immigrant visas.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be issuing much of anything. What we saw before when consular resources were limited, they had to prioritize different cases at different times. And so it will depend on what they make their priority after this goes into effect. Are they going to give priority to F1 students because they need to get to school and then everyone else suffers? Are they going to give priority to family-based green cards because they don't want to issue non-immigrant visas anymore? They want people to be stuck outside the country and not be able to get back to the US. It's possible. So yeah, we could see a slight decrease in family green cards being issued, therefore more available in employment base the following year. But I think overall, everything's just going to grind to a halt.
Stephen, you said the $250 extra, that fees that the Department of State is going to collect. When is that starting? Is that applicable for the H4s or is only for B1, B2s or for every
No,
non-immigrant visas?
yeah. So lots of attention has been on the visa integrity fee that is found in the many pages of the one big beautiful bill. This is a $250 additional fee uh, for all non-immigrant visas, B, H, L, whatever. But it's interesting because it's paid after visa issuance or at the time of issuance, not at the time of application, which is kind of odd. So I expect, the one big beautiful bill did funding, the next fiscal year funding starting October 1st. I'd expect here soon we're going to see Department of State put out what their procedures are for paying. It does have refund provisions in there that are kind of vague on how they're going to be implemented. I mean, it gives criteria, but we don't know how it's going to be implemented. So I expect to see that soon, whether it's coordinated with Department of State and Homeland Security or just Department of State. So that will be on new visas after October 1st. What I don't know is if I have my appointment scheduled, if someone has their appointment scheduled back in June and their interview now, they had Dropbox set up. Now interview is going to be after October 1st. If they're going to have to pay for it, then I think they will. I'd be prepared to, but we'll see.
Emily, is there a fast track visa stamping if we pay $1,000 extra? There was an articles published recently that there would be something if you pay $1,000 extra. Is there anything like that right now?
No, there's not. So although they are eliminating the Dropbox for most people, they're not making any way for you to get a faster appointment or to get the visa stamping done faster. There's no additional fee, there's no premium processing. Maybe we'll see that in the future, but as of right now, no.
What about the people who are planning to make an appointment after September 3rd? You can make a personal interview appointment. Those appointments, if they're open, you can book a time. Absolutely not a problem at all for you to book those appointments. That's a question that was coming from Venkateshwar Alluri. Um,
Yeah, and this question keeps popping up. I mean, any chances of Dropbox appointments becoming available before December 2nd? No, I don't expect them to try to increase appointments between, in the next, really the next month, right, is where we're at on this. I don't expect to see that. Hopefully, I'm
with
wrong.
Hopefully so. Hopefully we're all wrong, and then they'll make a new appointments much faster. With regards to the pilot program which they introduced, where they did some stamping in the United States, that definitely was successful, and people have used it, no problems with it. But from that time to this time, the administration has changed, and as Emily has pointed out, we are not expecting stamping within the United States. It used to be before 2004. They reintroduced in 2024 as a pilot program after 20 years of scrapping it, which was successful. But since the administration changed, we don't see anything reporting on that. We do not expect that coming back anytime soon.
Also, hope we're wrong on that.
Hopefully so.
I hope someone messages us next month and be like, "You guys were wrong about the pilot program. It's coming." Truly, I do, because I think everybody. This is just bad. This doesn't help anybody with this getting rid of Dropbox, making it harder. It hurts companies because employees are going to have to travel. It hurts the employees. It hurts everybody. This isn't a good. This isn't a pro-immigration policy, which is why we don't think we would see the pilot program expanded, because they're not seemingly wanting to do much to help even legal immigration.
There are a lot of disagreements on the immigration lawyers, but one thing none of the immigration lawyer can disagree with me is that whether this administration is pro-immigrants or anti-immigrants, almost everybody agrees that this administration is anti-immigrants. Believe me, whenever you want to take a step, especially going outside the country, getting the stamping, if you think so that you're going to get a favorable decision, please think twice. Try to consult an immigration lawyer, make sure everything is all right. And if possible, don't even consult an immigration lawyer. Stay in the United States and stay until the administration moves out, and then later on make travel plans. But if you have to, definitely consult an immigration lawyer before you travel. Anything else, Emily and Stephen? Thank you guys for tuning in. And we do have a free Zoom call available every day, half an hour. We're conducting that from 2012 to right now, 13 years continuously. You guys can use it, and you want to block a time to speak with Emily, Stephen, or anybody else in our office, you can go to rnlawgroup.com. There's an appointments. Our schedules are available online. And if there is any immigration updates we do bring in, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Stephen.